All right, brother. I'm super excited to hear what and why you do what you do, and to share a couple of stories along the way, man. So I'm going to give you the microphone, and you can talk, and people can try and understand what you're saying.
I mean, my why. The reason why I advocate mental health and mindset and well-being is because I've struggled hugely in the past. About 3 years ago, I I struggled to the point of depression, severe depression, suicidal thoughts. I was in a really toxic mindset of I didn't want to be here anymore, but I didn't want to leave.
Mm,
And that's quite traumatic in its own self and its own right. Um Before all that, I'd never had really any mental health experience. I was never educated on it. I was never knew about it. I was the type of person where it's like if you speak out your burden, if you speak out your embarrassment, etc., etc. So I bottled it all up for about 8 months. Stayed in bed for 8 months, didn't go to work, didn't do anything, couldn't be asked.
mm,
And then I I approached a couple of counselors and therapists and stuff, and they sort of signposted me in the end to Andy's Man Club, who are a peer-to-peer support group. Um, and it took me about 10 weeks to finally go through the door there. I'd basically drive down the motorway to Hull every day, and I'd see a banner and I'd look at the banner and go, I really want to go there, I really want to try it. And then you just turn off and you never go. And then one day, I reached out to my friend who was an advocate for it, and he was a facilitator there, and I said, look, mate, I want to go, and he gave me the address, he gave me all the stuff, and I went, and from that point there, I think with all the, I mean, every different things work for different people, don't they? And from there, like all the therapy, all the potential medication that I was going to get put on, it all just went out the window. And speaking to a group of men was completely different to what I've done before,
mm,
but it made me see the light at the end of the tunnel, because in that room there was 25 people that were probably older than me, had a lot more life experience, was able to advise and talk to me about their experiences, and I learned from them. And from there, I was using Andy's Man Club every single week religiously, as a little bit of a reset button for each week. And then at the point of the start of this year, they asked me to become a facilitator and help run the groups in Hull, which was an absolute honour. Absolute honour for a club that saved my life. To run the group and save that next man was an absolute honour. And then from there, because I mean, previously I was a business owner. I owned quite a number of businesses, and from there, at that point in February, it was my ego, my personality was all money driven. It was just like, let's get as much money as we can, as fast as we can, and let's just fucking live life to the full.
mm,
But it never made me happy doing that, because as much as I'd have everything that I wanted, I'd always want more, and I'd always want more. And there's that greed, and there's no gratitude, there's no sort of honesty about it. It was just pure, I just want more, 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 more. Now, it came to a point this year where I realized that my full passion was mental health and this, that, and the other. And I wanted to pursue my charity work. I wanted to pursue helping other people. And I think the experience of being a facilitator at Andy's Man Club sort of enabled me to do that, and enabled me to find it. So for me, Andy's Man Club didn't just save my life; it created the better version of me,
mm.
and that's huge. And I always tell people that, and I always use that when I'm speaking to people and when I'm doing talks at schools and stuff and colleges, and that's what I do now. I'm solely I'm doing some things with technology at the moment, because I'm a big technology head. So I'm doing some things with that. I'm making some new technology, but at the moment, mental health and learning about it and talking about it and developing new curriculums for schools and colleges so that people are getting educated at the earliest point possible so that they don't have to get to the age of 23 and go through all the shit that I did and not know about it and not be aware of it. So that's my mission now, is to get it into the at the earliest age possible for them to understand it.
Man, that's beautiful, man. And like fucking, standing in front of a bunch of lads that, first of all, you don't fucking know, right? You have no idea who these people are. You've probably only just heard their name like 5 minutes before, and like be vulnerable in front of other dudes, like, is literally everything we're hardwired not to do.
I mean that's just pure traditional mindset, isn't it? Like, there's 3 stigmas around men's mental health. It's burden, embarrassment. I can't remember the other one. I heard it today as well. I just can't remember it. It's just gone. It's just left my head. But the main 2 that I always remember is burden and embarrassment. And the thing for me is, and this is what I always say to my friends as well, because a lot of my friends, especially at the moment, are going through their own journeys. The relationship breakups, all this stuff, and the thing that I say to people is that, yes, talking to you might not seem powerful, but showing vulnerability is one of the most powerful things a man can do.
100%.
If you can sit there and showcase that you're hurting, or speak up about an issue, or cry in front of somebody, they'll sit there and be like, what the fuck do I do? Because you've got the power of the whole room at that point. And it takes a lot for a man to do that. And it's obviously there's obviously a Tyson Fury story, which is massively, well known by the public and stuff like that. And I watch his interviews weekly. I absolutely love. I mean, I say that in the right way. I absolutely love his story, in the way that he came back from it, in the way that he fought all of his demons and made a comeback and still won world titles. Like that. And there's one quote from him, and it's, if he can do it, anybody can. And I love that. Yeah,
he's a Manchester lad.
He is indeed.
It's funny because he also grew up, like, early part of his childhood in a place called Withenshaw, and that's where I grew up too. Quite funny, kind of a claim to fame, I guess. Also the largest council estate in Europe. Or it was back in the day. But yeah, man, I really believe that, like, Brené Brown says the same things about, there's a lot of strength in vulnerability. And if you're able to sit there, and I really like the fact that you say you gain the strength of the entire room, right? If you're able to sit there and kind of just show your cards, kind of show everyone that it doesn't matter what you say or do. Someone can turn around and start laughing, right? Yeah. What's the worst that could happen? They start laughing at you. Cool. You can't hurt me.
End of the day, I mean, it depends on how people perceive it. But if people perceive it in a negative way, it says a lot more about them than it does yourself.
Yeah, it does, man.
And I mean, as a facilitator, you've got more of a, I mean, obviously we don't have a stigma, but as a facilitator of a group, of a mental health group, you've got the stigma of, you need to be well, you need to, you need to support these people. And the thing about Andy's Man Club is, we have the ability to use the club if and when we need. And there was a couple of weeks ago, and like, even all the way through all that, I've been at Andy's Man Club for 3 years now, and I've never cried in front of anybody. And a couple of months ago, I needed to just release everything. And what I did was I cried for the first time at Andy's Man Club.
Mm-hmm.
And the power that I got from that room, and the support and everything else, and for me, that was life changing. That weight got lifted off my shoulders at that point, and it kind of made me go in the right direction again. It was like 3 years ago it happened, but I'd already known that I can be vulnerable,
mm-hmm.
and it prevented me from being another 8 months in sort of recovery. And the week after that, I went back to the same group, and three of the guys there was like, your story made me change up how I do things. So even though I'm hating inside still and I'm still going through my own shit, I managed to help 3 other people in that room.
Yeah, man.
And again, for me, that was huge. Like that made me
That's
cry again a little bit, but
mate, that's major. Like that, you know what I mean? It's empathy. It's being able to relate to people's struggles, right? Like we might not have exactly the same story because we've been through
yeah,
different experiences or whatever, but the feelings that we both feel are the same, right?
yeah,
Even we might not
yeah,
be able to put words to it. You know, it might be it's intangible. It's only a feeling. You know, it might be indescribable too. But you'll say a story. I'll say a story. They'll say a story. And
yeah,
this group of lads that we're hardwired by nature and nurture to kind of be in this conflict with each other, right? Can then
yeah,
break down those barriers and be like, actually, I understand. Like, and I feel what you're feeling right now. Not because I've
yeah,
been in your shoes, but because like I've done a similar thing or been in a similar thing, heard a similar thing, felt a similar thing.
yeah.
And I think empathy and connection over stories is really powerful. And that is one of the major reasons why I started this thing.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, you learn a lot from people's stories. And I think for me, obviously, like I've said before, you know, different therapies and counselling and stuff like that work differently for other people. But I learn from doing, and I learn from hearing, and I learn from experience. I don't learn from somebody pulling out a book and reading through a book.
Mm,
I can't do that.
mm,
I like speaking to people, which is why I mean, it might sound really, really strange, but when I'm like going for a train or something and I'm on my own,
mm.
I'll speak to people within the waiting room and stuff like that, and or I'll speak to people on the train rather than just putting my earphones in and just going for it. I, I'll speak to the people next to me because you never know what stories they've got to tell,
Mm.
and especially older people. Older people have the most amazing stories, and you actually learn a lot from them. Like
Mm.
I would learn so much. Um, well, I've learned so much from my granddad, but at, at the moment he just sort of lets life go. He has no filter. He has nothing. So he'll happily just say to people what he needs to say,
Mm.
and that's it. And that's what I love about him. Um, you know, there was a story before that he told me ages ago, and he had a bag of dog food, and this woman had said to him, "Have you got a dog?" And he went, "No, I'm on the chappy diet myself." He had no sort of care in the world what he was saying, and she believed him, and it was unreal. It was just like, well, what, like what's this diet and stuff like that? And I'm like, Granddad, you need to sort of stop that
Yeah.
because people are going to start believing you and start eating stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's like
but
getting that sense of connection, right? Just like talking to people, like you know, you said like people putting their headphones in, like everyone walking down the street these days, right? You you say hello and they ignore you. It's like, well,
yeah,
no wonder we all feel lonely, man.
you know, this big thing of social media, this big thing of mobile phones and technology, and yeah, you know what, I love technology, and I think when it's used right, it can be used for the good. And you know, my social media before my Instagram was full of like business quotes, like here's a 10 steps now to get a Lamborghini and all this stuff. And I'm like, I look back on it now, even 2 months afterwards, and I'm like, why was I looking at that shit?
Mm, mm,
Why was I looking at that? Like in the last 2 months, I've learned gratitude massively. Like I'll walk in the house and I'll smile because
yeah.
what I've got at the moment is what's making me happy. Um, but I mean, on social media now, you know, it's so addictive, and kids are getting involved in it at such an early age, and they're not like I know of obviously through schools and colleges and stuff like that. I know of people at like 8 years old that are on social media and younger. And I'm like, when I was 8, I used to be climbing trees and playing with my mates and knocking on the door physically to see if there was coming out. And if there wasn't in, I'd go back later on. But like all of this technology is just send a text. I'll just send a text. I'll see if they're in. and it's like you've lost that social interaction straight away, and you'll see bunches of kids on the streets on bikes or whatever. They'll all be on the phone. They won't even be speaking to each other. They'll all be in a group chat speaking to each other on the phones when they're all sat around next to each other.
Mm.
And it's like, it's all because there'll be one person not part of that group at that time, and they'll be at home or something, and they'll feel as though they're missing out. And that's a sad world. It's a sad world to be in.
It's almost like in schools now, they're gonna have to teach social interaction as a skill. You know what I mean? They might have to create this curriculum of like life skills and be like how to actually physically communicate with people without technology. It's fucking mad. Like obviously when we were in school, it's like how to send an email or how to turn your computer on, which I still
learning how
don't.
to use the technology,
How to use the technology.
taking over us.
Yeah. Now it's gonna be like how to live life without it. You know, like probably camping skills will come back in and orienteering and all that shit. Map reading's completely like redundant now, which is crazy.
But I mean, again, that's another big thing for mental health. Mental health is social media on a whole. It's if people could realize that social media is a highlight reel and it's not real life, they will be so much happier. Like I've had so many arguments with people that compare themselves to people on social media. Like my friend the other day, for example, was, you know, all my friends are in happy relationships and I'm not, and this, that, and the other. And it was like, I'm like, yeah, but look at it from a different perspective. You're looking at them on Facebook and Instagram. Are you actually happy? Like, do you know what goes on behind closed doors? No, you don't. So you only see the stuff that they want you to see, which is their happiness. Just bought my first house, just got a new car, all this stuff. But they don't see how much they're skinning themselves trying to get that car or how much they're skinning themselves trying to get that house. It's like, if you could look at it from a different perspective, you wouldn't really worry about anything like that anymore. And to be grateful for what you've got is a big thing. And social media doesn't really help that because it's creating an environment of a toxic jealousy, I think. Where a lot more people will become jealous. And the biggest mind-blowing thing for me is when your friend starts a business on there, or when your friend says, oh, you know, I'm selling these or whatever, they would rather share a status from an influencer that doesn't even know that that person even exists to sell their new next beauty product, but they wouldn't share a status from their good friend who's just started a new business. And that for me is absolutely fucking mind-blowing. And I'm sorry for swearing. I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Yeah, of course, man. It's my fucking podcast.
Racks my brain, as in like, why are people more connected to people that don't even know they exist than they are their own circle? And that's what social media has done. It's sort of given people a social status and gone, you need to follow these people, you need to get everything that they say, and people are fucking doing it.
Yeah, man.
Like, at what point did Kim Kardashian become famous? At what point did that happen? For being on a porn video? Like, I don't quite understand it, but yet she's the most followed person on Twitter, along with Justin Bieber. And it's like, how? But then
it's keeping up with the Joneses, isn't it?
Yeah. And so like instant gratifications made all that as well. Like obviously you want a pizza, you can go and just eat, you can get a pizza in 20 minutes. You know, you want to feel good about yourself, you can post a photo on social media and get like 400 likes within the space of 10 minutes. Like all that instant gratifications ruined life on a whole, because people are now going into relationships and going into work and wanting to set the world alight within 6 months. Like, I mean, I've had people speak to me about relationships and go, well, why aren't you getting engaged? Because you're 8 months into a relationship. Like, these things take time. Yeah, but all my mates getting engaged. Yeah, but fuck them. They've been into relationships for 10 years. Like, You've only just been in one. You've only just got in one. And it's stuff like that. And it's all that, I want this now, I want this now, I want this now, I want this now. When in reality, what you need to do is you need to take time in life to work out what you actually want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll pursue it. And even if it does take time, you'll still do it, you'll still do it, you'll still do it. It took me 10 years to realize that business, you know, my job, my career want for me, and that I want to go and pursue mental health and mindset and well-being and do public speaking and stuff like that. And 10 years of what I would, or what people deem as a waste of time, 10 years is a long time to find out what you actually want. But that's what happens in life. You'll do something for ages and you'll be like, nah, fuck this is bullshit. And then you'll move on to the next thing.
Thing is, man, like, people think life is short, and in the grand scheme of things, of the age of the world and the universe and all that, yeah, okay, life is short, but also, you know, life is long.
Yes.
Right? You have the opportunity to like live 100 lives, right? I'm 25, right? And I honestly believe I've lived about 100 lives to get to this point. You know,
yeah,
there was like, you got athlete, okay, cool. The one who couldn't fucking walk because of his legs, cool. Like, then fucking had to work fucking 18-hour days and 4 jobs, cool. Then I was in this place, and I was in London, then I was homeless, then I was in Auckland, then I'm in Christchurch, now I'm over. It's like, no. You've got so many stories to write.
Yeah.
And you've got so many stories in front of you to write.
Yeah.
Like, the notion of, I need to have this done in the next 2 weeks or 8 months.
Oh,
Like, you're like 30 years old. What are you going to do for the next fucking 60 years? The same shit.
It's like when people are like, I need to have kids and be married by the age of 30. No, you fucking don't. No, you fucking don't. You don't need to live your life on a timeline.
Yeah.
You need to just go out there, enjoy the moment, and do whatever the fuck you want. And that'll make you truly happy. If you're living your life on a timeline, you've always got a deadline, you've always got pressure at that point, and it makes you very mentally unstable to say stuff like, I want to retire by the age of 35. Well, what happens if you don't? You're going to get depressed because you haven't completed the goal, or you'll complete the goal and you'll be like, well, what the fuck can I do now? I've completed everything. I've completed life. What do I do now? It's a bit like the Tyson Fury story where he beat Vladimir Klitschko and he won the world title. And his coach said to him something along the lines of, how are you feeling? And he went, well, I'm depressed because I've got nothing else to do. I've got no other goals. I've completed my goal. What the fuck do I do now? And then that's when he hit that depression of, and it took him 2-3 years to come out of it and battle it and face his demons. And it was purely because he'd set himself a goal, he'd achieved it, and he had nothing else to do. Whereas if you turn it on its head and you live life in the moment and you just live each day as it comes along and you enjoy every moment that you get, you've got an infinite mindset at that point.
I think people get bogged down with purpose, right? So it's like, my purpose of existence is to do this, right? So Fury's existence would be to box, right? Yeah. But personally, I believe that purpose is a man-made thing. Like, we either consciously or subconsciously create it to take us from position A to position B. It will serve us in the moment, and it will serve us maybe for the next 50 years, but it might not serve us forever, right? Purpose is going to change. It's going to adapt. It's going to completely change. It's going to flow. It's going to come. It's going to go. And like, I think being present and enjoying the moment, as you said, is so important. And just living, man. You know what I mean? Like, the UK is a great example of it. I'll see a load of people, again, on social media, right? It's usually how we stay connected, especially when I'm on the other side of the world. And it's like, oh, you know, that person started a new job. Oh, we're now on the property ladder. Or, oh, I'm expecting my second child. Or I've just got married or whatever. I'm like, great, man. Personally, I don't give 2 tosses about it. Like, I don't give a fuck. But I know a lot of people would, you know what I mean? I'm like, you live the way you want to live. That's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Your rules
Yeah.
do not dictate how I should live my life, and vice versa, right? They'll look at me and be like, dude, you're still bumming around, right? You've fucking been homeless twice. You're like somehow making this thing work on the other side of the world. You know, what are you doing? Where's the career path? And I was like, why do I need to live that way, man?
I think I think obviously there's that instantly in education. There's a cycle of life or whatever it is that officials and government and stuff try and control, and the perfect way of life for whoever it is who's controlling it, the government or whatever, is you go to school, you say that till you're 18, you go to college or whatever, and then you go to university, and then you get a job.
Mm-hmm.
But where's the happiness in that? You're being controlled by other people. When I was at school, I went to school, did an apprenticeship, got myself a job, right? I wasn't happy in a job. I wasn't happy being controlled by other people. I hate that. So I went and started a business. I felt quite happy. But then the pressure and the stress of businesses, you struggle with that. I went back into employment. Didn't like it again. Was like, yeah, I can't work for anybody else. I've got to work for myself. It's not working for me. So I went back into business and was like, no, again, this isn't for me. And I was stuck in a rock and a hard place for maybe the best part of 2020 and 2021. And it was like, well, what do I want to do? Because if that's not working for me and that's not working for me, and I don't know what to do. So it's like my head, I think, is wired up differently to other people. And I like creating things. I like doing things, and I like moving things forward rather than just offering a business service and just going with it and just seeing what happens. I like innovating. Obviously, and then my passion again is mental health, and the way for me, again, like we've mentioned, is living in the moment, finding out what you can do and what you can create, and this, that, and the other, and just going for it. I mean, I'm about to create a piece of technology, a piece of software that is going to absolutely blow up the tech market, and it's just about to hit the first round of funding. So we've got the pitch deck sorted, we've got the brief sorted, we've got the development plan sorted. It's about to hit the first round of funding. So I want to stay within tech, but I want to do it for the right reasons now, and I want my happiness to always come first. So along with my mental health stuff, my mental health is going to probably sort of keep me sane, because I'm going to get them endorphins of helping other people and doing things that actually mean something to somebody, rather than just sitting there and collecting money and chasing money all the time. I'm actually doing something now that I can feel fulfilled by.
Dude, that's massive, man, and I can't wait to see what you come out with. Like, I'll probably not understand what's going on. You'll have to put it in like dumbed down terms. Like, again, I don't know how to.
I'm no Steve Jobs, but I can definitely sort of some.
Yeah, but man, like, that's what it's all about, man. It's just living the way you want to live. Being like, I think self-awareness is the most important thing that we can do, and we can have and develop, of like your strengths and your weaknesses, right? And being able to work with those weaknesses and the limitations and run with your strengths.
And I think with that as well, I think just being open about them, being open that you are weak in some places, and being open that you do struggle, and just being open that you're not feeling well or you're not feeling good or whatever. And as soon as you can reach your honesty with yourself, and you can then start developing the stuff around you. So as soon as you're honest with yourself, and you can work out what your strengths and weaknesses are, then you can let other people know. And then from there comes the vulnerability, and then from there becomes the building of trust, because a lot of people have then realized actually he's been honest about it, because he never used to speak about his problems, and now he is. I think once you've developed that mindset of the honesty and the integrity with yourself, you can develop more honesty and integrity with other people. And it brings me back to a quote of, you can't look after other people without looking after yourself. And it's so true, because how can you build a relationship with people if you're not being yourself? Because it's not you building that relationship, it's your persona, it's your whatever it is, mask. Whereas what some people need to do, and it's a huge thing to do, because it's what I did recently, and it took a lot of work, was strip yourself back down to the core and relearn everything that you need to learn about yourself. And when you do that, your mind and your body and everything else and your personality is at its purest form, with no bullshit attached to it, no stigma attached to it. And you do need to relearn stuff like how to do things with certain people and how to react to certain comments and the behaviors around it, because you've stripped yourself to your core and it's taken you a lot of work to do so. But it's your honest self at that point. And I did that 2 months, maybe, 2 months ago now. I did that to myself, and to do that, it brought me out to be a much better person, a much more honest person with myself and other people, and just be more open about stuff. Yeah.
I think everyone should be either placed or no, not placed, but everyone should experience solitude. Right.
Yes.
Everyone should go on a solo trip. Everyone should take some time where they don't communicate with anyone else. Right.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very scary thing, because you're faced with a lot of shit and things that you've bottled up and kept down and suppressed for a long, long time. And inevitably those things will resurface, right? And you're going to have to deal with them. You're going to have a fist fight with a part of yourself that you don't like. And inevitably you're going to have to kill that part of yourself that you don't like. So then you can grow and develop into a better person, right? That's what we're all trying to do, right? Is just kind of take who we are and kind of make it better. Like, if you don't want to do that, then what are you doing? Like, we're all changing and dying, right? The only constant in life is change. That's life. That's growth. That's what happens. And I think it's so important that people take that time. I think, yes, we should offer services that helps provide them with a lot of aid, because it can be a very, tough place to be, is on your own, whether it's in the four walls of your own room, whether you do a solo trip, whether you live in your car for a while, whether you just I know there's some, I think it's South American, where they sit in the dark. It's like sensory deprivation. And you are then just forced to address shit, right? I think everyone needs to do it.
Yeah.
That meditative state of, okay, I'm gonna speak to myself, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone we speak to sees a different part of you. You might see 80%, you might see 98%, but there's going to be that little part of you that you don't show anyone else, whether that's conscious or subconscious, whether that's just a feeling that you can't define, right? I can't really explain it. It's just kind of going on, right? So you're the only person that knows you 100%, and you're going to have to learn who the fuck that person is.
Yeah, 100%. And, the most, I'm quite glad you've said this, because it was only a short while ago when I posted on Instagram that the Japanese culture states that they have three faces.
Yeah.
And the first face you show the world, the second face you show your close friends and family, and the third face you don't show anyone.
Yeah.
And this face here, the third face, is a truest reflection of yourself. So, to get to that point where you can show that to everybody is huge. And if you can, there is nobody in the world that can say that they show their truest reflection on everybody, because they don't. A lot of people do hide stuff, or it is deemed normal by counselors and therapists to tell white lies, because That's natural. That's natural human behavior. And that's what keeps social interaction at its core. Like, somebody might ask how you are. And if you went and told them how you actually were feeling, sometimes they'd be like, oh, I wish I didn't ask now.
Yeah.
Whereas in reality, all they're doing is ticking a box for social interaction. They go, yeah, I'm fine, actually. I'm all good. Or are you all right? Yeah, you. Stuff like that. So there's little white lies in human interaction, and it's built down to the core, and it's deemed normal. Whereas I'm like, fuck that. If somebody asks me how I am, whether it pisses them off or not, I'm telling them how I am.
Yep.
Because they've asked it. It's no tick box exercise for me. I don't do tick box exercises. If somebody wants me to do something, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody asks me something, I'll tell them. And it took me 3 years to do that, to be able to come to that stage. And now I feel so pure. I feel so, there's no drama in my life because I'm not hiding things. There's no stress, there's no anxiety, there's no pressure because everything just seems to be sorted.
Just real, man.
Yeah, if you're living a lie and you're not living yourself and this, that, and the other, you actually bogged down with stress and anxiety because you're not being true to yourself or other people. And as soon as you are, wow, the difference it makes is unreal.
It's freeing, man. You take yourself out of the shackles that you put yourself in, and people are quick to. I think society is a very strange concept, right? And I think people are quick to throw the blame to society and throw the blame to the man, or government or the family or whatever. But no. You have the responsibility of yourself. I was speaking to a mate of mine recently, and he was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to tell this person? Like, you're getting treated like shit. I was like, well, they have the right to treat me however they want to treat me. They can treat me like shit if they really want to, because that's the way they want to live their life. And who am I to dictate how they live their life? It is now my responsibility whether I'm going to accept that or not. Right.
And to do that is very powerful. To have that mindset where nothing can bother you and you don't give a fuck what people do or how people act is huge, because a lot of people nowadays are so bothered about what others think of them, how they're perceived by other people. Why haven't I got a nice car, this, that, and the other? And it's like, who actually gives a shit? Like, to be in that state, to have that mindset is very powerful, because not a lot of things can bother you. And I'm still trying to develop that. I mean, I don't care so much anymore than what I did 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago. But I mean, right now I'm still trying to develop that mindset of not giving a fuck.
We all are, man. To an extent, we're all, if we're not growing, we're dying, right? So if we're not developing it, then it's whittling away, and it just comes from time, and people get bogged down in, I'm not there yet. I'm like, no, motherfucker, you're not there yet. Like, happiness isn't a destination, it's a journey, man. Like, how arrogant do you think you are? Or how arrogant are you to think, I'm just gonna snap my fingers and embark on this journey and I'm gonna be at the destination? But you can't teleport there, man. Like, you've got to learn the things along the way, and it's like, that's fine. And then again, from conversing with people, you learn stories and lessons and steps from different parts of the journey, right? And you're like, I didn't come across that one. That was a really good point. I'm gonna think about that for the next week or so, determine my own mindset towards it, apply it to my own life, and then move forward. And maybe you do the same thing. And it's not getting in your own head about, I'm not there yet. It's like, no, you're not there yet, but that's a good thing.
It's like Simon Sinek said about the infinite mindsets. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Maybe.
And basically, the infinite mindset is, the finite mindset is like a game where you have a goal. Like, football is a game, and you have to beat the other team. You have to. That's the end goal, is to beat the other team and get 3 points and whatever else. But so you will do anything that you can to achieve that goal. And there's so many people that have a finite mindset, and they'll fuck over people, they'll break the rules just to achieve that goal. They'll do anything that they can just to achieve that goal. But once you achieve that goal, what do you have? A sense of self-worth that you can't really change into currency, you can't do anything with. Great. You're happy you've achieved a goal, but what have you done along the line to achieve that? Whereas an infinite mindset would be, there'd be a goal at the end, don't get me wrong, but there'd be loads of little goals in between that you would have to follow. But what it's doing is it's changing currency and changing the way that people are to be more resourceful. So in an infinite game, you've got to look after your resources, whereas in a finite game, you've got to do whatever the fuck you can to achieve that goal. In infinite games, you would help one another to achieve the goal. So think of it as a game of Call of Duty. You've got your 1v1 deathmatch or whatever else it's called nowadays. To win that game, you've got to kill the other person. But then you've got a team deathmatch. Now, to win that game, you've got to kill the other team. But you've got to work as a team to kill the other team. But if you was to bring that, obviously, I don't want to talk about killing people in real life, but if you was to bring that mindset into real life, where in reality, what you was doing is you was helping your team at work, in life, at friends or whatever, achieve a goal at the end, you'd have much more self-worth than you would just doing it on your own and fucking everybody else over. Because in reality, who can you preach to about achieving a goal if you fuck everybody else over to get there?
Yeah, you've created that sense of unity, and you get that connection with people again. And yeah, if you trample on everyone to get to the top, what are you authentic? Are you genuine? Like, what's your worth to everyone? Like,
yeah,
okay, if that's how you want to live your life, again, I go back to, I've got no right to dictate whether that's right or not. If you think that's right for you, absolutely fine. But I'm pretty sure we're in agreement of that's not the way we want to live our lives. And,
not at all.
And we believe that helping other people in whatever format it is, right, is how you feel that sense of fulfillment. And that is what helps you sleep like a baby at night. That's what helps you look at yourself in the eye in the mirror in the morning and be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not a piece of shit.
I mean, not many people can say that, can they? Really?
not in 2021. No, it's a funny thing.
But yeah, I mean, for me, like I'll reiterate, my goal is to prevent people from suffering what I suffered with no educational awareness, and that's what I want to do. And if I help one person, job done. I've saved one person from suffering. If I help 30 or 40 or thousands or millions, great. I mean, I've never been too bothered about numbers. I've always been bothered about actually helping people, and whether that be through my work, through technology, or through mental health stuff. I'm going through all my qualifications at the minute to get more mental health knowledge. Doing a lot of mindset training, this, that, and the other. I've mastered the art of self-meditation, which is phenomenal.
Fuck yeah.
But other than that, all I want to do is to just plug that education into people at the early stage possible, so that they are aware and they know about it. Obviously, you've got to be realistic. You've got to go for the ages that they can actually understand what mental health is and this, that, and the other. There's no point in me going straight into the foundation years of primary school and going, this is how bad you'll feel if you don't do this, and this is how you'll feel if you don't do that. Because they were sat there like, no, I just want to play in the sandpit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not too bothered about this. Or they'll be eating a fucking apple or something. But like for me, it's all about, even if it's 16, 17, 18-year-olds who are just coming out of college, and let's be honest, the UK education system does not teach you real life skills.
Fuck no,
It
man.
does not. It does not teach you how to get a mortgage. It does not teach you how to write an invoice or how to do your taxes or this, that, and the other. If it did, we'd probably have less depression, because depression is from stress.
We'd also have less poverty.
I agree.
But we'd also have less of a workforce, and there's a, you're probably you're gonna push a button now. There's a fucking reason why they don't teach you, so they have a constant stream of workers, so they can work for the man, and the man can get richer. Like the UK, for anyone who's never lived there or never been, is structured on a class system, right? It's socioeconomic divide. It's a class system rather than a race system. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, or where you come from. Like, poverty knows no prejudice, and that's just the way the UK kind of runs. That's how the cogs in the wheels turn. So like the whole structure, if you look at it with like open eyes, like is developed and structured around keeping that, if not creating those barriers and kind of pushing the gap between the upper and the lower.
I mean, it's a difficult one to even speak about, because I feel as though we're going to open a can of worms hugely here.
We're both northern, so
and we might end up in some sort of prison system in the UK. But for me, it's all about trying to develop that curriculum, and even if it does mean, because when I was in business, I was working with colleges and sixth forms and stuff like that to try and get more business stuff, real life business into the curriculum, such as, allowing the students to actually build a business. And then if it turns out to be a good idea, they could take it to investors.
Yep.
So it was preparing 18-year-old people to actually go into business. And it's a similar sort of thing what I want to do with mental health. I want to prepare these students to be more aware of it, but also if they can find a passion in it, great, they can help other people. And statistically, when one person is educated, they educate 3 other people.
Wow.
So imagine if you educate 1,000 people in one room at one time, that week they're going to educate 3,000 people.
Wow.
And that alone, it's just like a butterfly effect, isn't it? It's just it ripples out, and in all honesty, and it's gonna sound really bad of me to say this, but sometimes I believe that maybe there's a bit too much awareness on mental health, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that as though people that don't understand it, will claim that they have depression.
Yeah. I understand.
And they'll use it as like a short-term word. I'm a bit depressed today. But in reality, just having everybody has sad days, everybody has down days, everybody has up days and down days and whatever else. Depression isn't a day, it isn't a one-day thing. It's weeks and months and this, that, and the other of pure sadness and low mood and everything else. And when I've been speaking to people and I've had a bad day today, I'm a bit depressed. Well, yeah, it probably is a word to use in that situation, but it's not the right word. Like the right word would be, I'm just a bit sad. Well, how can I help? Like, I'll spin you back to a story quickly, and it was basically someone that I know had a bit of a financial issue, and they'd only found out about it at 9 a.m. that morning, and then at 2 p.m. they was texting me going, I've got this issue here, I need this sorted out, I need this, I need that. I'm getting depressed over it. And I'm like, no. At the moment, you're just sad. Like, we can work this out. We can come up with a plan, and you'll feel a lot better. And he's like, yeah, but I don't think we can. So I went round to the house. I made up a plan, and I told them where to go and who to speak to, and to get the stuff sorted. Next day, sorted. I'm happy now. But he wasn't depressed, because depression's a 2-week, 3-week, 4-week constant cycle of low mood. He was just upset. And I think, I mean, in the nicest way possible, I think the awareness side isn't, it needs to be more educational, it needs to be more informative, rather than just saying, are you suffering? Like, I've seen banners on trains, are you suffering depression? Well, I'm pretty sure that everybody on a northern train in England is sad because they're sat on that train and it stinks and it's minging and it's not very nice. Like, they're going to get a lot of fucking phone calls. But the thing for me is, it's all about educating people. And if you can use a billboard or an advertisement or anything just to educate some, even your social media, just to educate somebody the right way, you become quite a powerful outlet.
Yeah, totally. I agree. And I also would add on to that point of, if you are suffering and you do have anxiety, depression, whatever it is, right? You are not it, and it is not you. You just feel it and experience it. Like, that's all it is. Like, I've seen a lot of people become that label, right? And I don't know whether it's consciously and they're trying to fuck over the system, or it's subconsciously and their brain is fucking them over, of like, they then play into that label and into that fact of like, oh no, I am depression. That means that's blah, 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 blah. I'm always depressed. I'm like, no, man, like, take myself, for example. I know my natural brain frequency will run very low, right? So I'm very self-aware that my natural brain state is quite low mood, right? I know that from genetically. I know that from, I've had a lot of concussions. I know that from just nature, right? Just the way I am of like meditating on it, feeling all this shit. Cool. Now I'm aware of that. I've got one of two options. One, I could play into it and be like, oh, I can't do that because I'm depressed. Oh, I can't do that because I'm sad. Oh, I can't do that because I'm like feeling a bit melancholy. Or I could be like, right, I need to do X, Y, and Z so I don't end up in the bottom of a pit within the space of 5 minutes.
I agree.
Like, self-awareness is a beautiful thing. However, don't use it as then an excuse, right? It's like, nah, man, like, you've done the hard part. You know who you are. That's a hard thing to do. Know who you are, your nature and your nurture. Now fucking work with it, man. Don't work against it. Anyway, I've got 3 questions, right?
Okay, go for it.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
And I just wanted to add to that. If people are struggling, it's okay to talk and it's okay to reach out. And
totally, 100%.
It's very powerful when you do, and if you do.
Yeah, and if you do, you say, "Mom, actually, I'm shit. I'm struggling right now. I'm feeling a little bit, whatever." Oh my God, you've just like told the demons in your head to go fuck themselves, the stigma of society to go fuck themselves. Like, you have literally just shown so much strength. So hats off.
100%.
Yeah, I got 3 questions, right? First one.
Okay.
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Oh, nah, this is a difficult one. The greatest piece of life advice is, and it's very cliche, it's something that somebody said to me at Andy's Man Club, actually. It was one of the lead facilitators in the whole group, and it was basically to not care what other people think, to live life how you want to live it, do what you want to do, and just be yourself and be happy. And it sounds very cliche because obviously it's easier said than done, but at the same time, it can take somebody years to be able to master that. But it feels so good when you do. And that's the best piece of life advice I've had. Yeah, definitely.
Second question: what's the worst piece of life advice you ever received?
Oh, this was the worst piece of life advice I've ever received is probably from a friend of mine that is no longer a friend, and it was when I'd come out of a relationship a fair few years ago now, and it was just like, fuck it, do what you want, and I did what I want, and it didn't end well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
as most blokes know,
Yeah.
I did what I wanted, and I ended up more lonely, more depressed, and more upset, and it just didn't work out. So that is definitely the worst piece of life advice I've had.
I think that's a very like
I should have taken time for myself.
Yeah, you should have. Holy shit. What? I think that's a very British thing to do. You know what I mean? It's like if all hell goes loose, burn every fucking bridge you can and create so much destruction that you put yourself in like the worst position possible. Like I think it's just ingrained in us.
Yeah, and then you struggle to get out of it. And that in reality, what you've done is you've dug yourself a deeper hole than what you was first in. And it's just like, it is a very British thing to do. I don't think there's any other culture or any other country or any other race that would do that. But with British people, it's just like, just fuck it. Just do what you want.
I think if two words would describe the whole of the UK, it would be fuck it. Like, I think
I agree.
Honestly, like amazing people, man. Like amazing people, but holy shit, like it's one of those things that you can't really describe unless you've like been on the streets and like figured it out and felt it. You know what I mean? Like you can feel the culture in the pavements.
I agree. And that's it. That's definitely the worst piece of advice I've ever been given.
Okay. Oh wow. It makes me a bit homesick. I'm like, I want to get back in the shit. Well, hey, we're crazy. The third and final question is 3 words you would tell your younger self.
Don't chase money. Don't chase money.
That's a good one.
I spent years of my life just chasing money, and it didn't make me any happier than what I am now. You know, didn't make me happy at all. And yeah, now that I've figured that out, I'm the happiest I've ever been. I don't need to chase money. I don't. As long as I can pay my bills and enjoy my life and have a bit of money at the end of it to spend on retirement, you don't need to have multi-millions of pounds in your bank account to enjoy life, do you?
Beautiful,
you
man.
Enjoy the stuff that you've got.
That's it, man. Happiness cannot be you can't stick a monetary value on it. You know what I mean? It's priceless.
I agree with that.
Brother, I really appreciate 1, your time, and 2, what you're doing. I'm sorry I have to shoot, but I'm sure we could talk for hours and hours, and you're always welcome to come back. And now you have a place to come and visit whenever you're in fucking New Zealand or this part of the world.
Great.
Just get on this metal bird and fly on over, and we'll cause carnage on the bottom right hand corner of the world.
That sounds good, man. That sounds good.
Easy, man.
I appreciate you inviting me on, and I appreciate your time as well.
Always, man. Like we'll grab a pint or a coffee whenever I'm back home, but I have no fucking idea whenever that's gonna be. So that will have to be a TBC.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine, man. That's absolutely fine. I look forward to it.
All right, appreciate it, man, and speak soon.
Great stuff. Speak to you soon, mate.
Peace.